Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring Land.
Oh, just kidding.
Blasphemer.
Hello,
right.
Boring Review Nation.
Kind of pointless.
We know all things. Hello, Boring Review Nation. Gabe.
Chris, what's up?
And I'm so happy to have my man Chris on here. You know what I'm saying? Backed by popular demand. Probably the only person on the channel that has more comic book knowledge than I do. We're huge comic book nerds, man. And Chris, why don't you tell the fans, the people, what we're going to be reviewing today?
Today, we're going to be reviewing the long-awaited review for The Boys Season 2. It was a year ago we reviewed Season 1, and here we are now. Was that a year ago? Was that more than a year? I feel like it was more than a year ago that came out.
It feels that long, but I don't think so. Now that I think about it, I'd have to go back and check, man. Maybe it was in the fall, so it's. I don't think it's been quite a year, but man, I tell you what, because we watched it, but we didn't review it immediately. Right now, we're reviewing it immediately. We had watched it and then reviewed it. We reviewed it. And I think Amazon is doing because they didn't do this the first time, but they're doing what Disney Plus is doing with The Mandalorian, where they're forcing you to wait week after week for episodes, right? They dropped the first 3 episodes, and then every Friday we'll get an episode. So it's not like anybody's canceling Amazon, so I can't see the reason for not just give me everything. I want to binge it all. You know what I'm saying? Give it to me.
No. I kind of dig the strategy. I mean, there's no commercials, right? As long as there's no commercials, then okay, cool. But I kind of like the idea of it being prolonged. It makes it last longer. I don't know. I kind of like that about The Mandalorian. You had to wait a little bit. But I mean, that's also, as much as I'd love binging something in one day, it's like Christmas Day. You're like, okay, it's over. Now I have to wait another year,
I'm telling you, bro, with Netflix, which I'm still waiting on Nick so we could do that review, but I binged Umbrella Academy in a day, bro. Done. It was like a day.
Oh, easily.
Done.
Easily.
Done. Not even doing it. But other networks, DC Universe, Titans, every week they give you an episode. And that's because they didn't want you to cancel DC Universe, because that's like the only property even worth watching on DC Universe. You know what I'm saying? That, and I mean, a lot. What's the name of that other show?
What about Doom Patrol?
Doom Patrol, yeah, Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
They're the only 2 shows really carrying DC Universe. But Disney Plus, come on, it's not like anybody was going to cancel Disney. Just give us all The Mandalorian. I want to binge it all, man. I don't want to wait. But with that being said, I just want to give a quick recap of Season 1. I'm not going to give you detail by detail because, again, if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. But basically, The Boys takes a place in a world where superheroes are made, not born. Basically, they're just super enhanced fetuses, right from the fetus. They're feeding these parents these drugs to have these they call it compound V, to have these kids that are going to be superheroes. And in the world, these superheroes are celebrities. They're basically corporate property. They've been corporatized, privatized, and it's really they look at it and deconstruct the superheroes. Like, if people really had these powers, how would they behave? Nick's one of Nick's favorite lines is with the Spider-Man line, with great power comes great responsibility. Well, let's be honest. If you had that kind of great power, would you be responsible with it? Everybody wants to be altruistic and say, I would. I don't know, man.
I mean, based on some of my inclinations during traffic, I think there'd be a couple of times I would pull, what's that movie, Chronicle? The guy's just like riding their back, like tailgating the whole time, and he just whoosh and pushes them off the side. He doesn't mean to kill him, but like it happens because he just pushed his truck off the side of the road. Like, who's this? I think there'd be some times I'd be like, you know what? Bam, your tires are out. Now you spin out of control or whatever. Like it would just be such a dangerous thing for that to happen.
No, exactly. And I think that it deconstructs superheroes, and it, like, look, just because they have powers, they're still people, and people all have we learned, especially in season 2, we all that they have insecurities. You know, we learned about the Deep. This season, they've given the Deep such a the Deep is one of the main
Oh yeah.
characters, such a different story arc, and they've humanized his character so much. But yeah, we have insecurities. We have flaws as human beings, whether you're a superhero or not. Powers don't change that. And you know, there's bad people out there that if they had power, they're gonna go ahead and use it for their own benefit. And I think that they did a really good job of exploring that. But anyway, in this universe, you've got this guy, ex-CIA, ex-Fed, you know, Black Ops worker, Billy Butcher, whose wife was what was she wasn't kidnapped, but she was sexually assaulted basically by a superhero. The main guy, Homelander, at first, when I looked at it, I was like, this guy looks dorky. All right, he's a cross between Superman and Captain America. He's got like the American cape, as American flag as his cape, and the eagles on his shoulder pads. Like, this outfit looks so dorky. He's even got that dorky look, bro. I love Homelander. He is absolutely gangster, bro. He doesn't care, and oh, he's probably one of my favorite characters, man. His ruthlessness is hilarious to me.
So many issues. So many issues. The whole thing with, I mean, if you haven't seen the show, I don't want, like, season 2, I don't want to give anything away. But like the whole thing with the milk. Oh,
he's nuts. That was crazy. And you know, it's funny, in season 1, everybody showed all the other superheroes that are part of the Seven, and the Seven are the main superhero group in this world. There's superheroes all around, people with power, super enhanced people, but the Seven are like the main celebrity superheroes that work for this company bought. And then he basically helps select all the Seven. They all fear him because they know this dude's unhinged, all right? He walks around and they're like, oh, man, yeah, whatever you want to do, Homelander, because they know he's absolutely nuts, man. And he does stuff like rip people in half. And, I don't want to get too much into season 1. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. But basically, we find out that superheroes are made. They're not created. This company basically created this drug called Compound V, and now superheroes are flawed. They're flawed human beings. They commit crimes themselves. They have everything. They explore everything from drug abuse to alcoholism to substance abuse and performance enhancing drugs. And man, it is such an unbelievable season. Go back and watch it. But basically, our main 2 characters, Homelander and Billy Butcher, who Billy Butcher's wife was the one that was sexually assaulted by Homelander. You find out that Homelander actually got her pregnant, so she had a kid by him. And this is like, Billy Butcher's been looking for his wife. Now we know why he can't find his wife. Along the way, he recruits this ragtag team of guys, regular guys, no superpowers, that all have gripes and bones to pick with superheroes. So they're trying to take down the Seven, and they're actually the Boys. When I first heard the title The Boys, I thought it was going to be the Seven. No, the Boys are the normal dudes that are just hardcore. You got Billy Butcher in there, you got Frenchie, you got Mother's Milk, and then you got Huey. I forget the Asian chick's name. But that's season 1. Just a brief recap in synopsis. Season 2, and I'll let you start off with the first episode. Basically, picks up from where season 1 left off, where Billy Butcher has discovered that his wife is alive, and spoiler alert, Homelander had a kid with her. Okay, and they have her like trapped in this house or whatever in this little town where they're monitoring, the super child being raised.
I mean, yeah, it starts out with you see Billy Butcher on the ground and everything. It kind of recaps everything for you. But then Billy Butcher kind of comes out of it. Like, you don't see him
at all
for a little bit. Right. It starts focusing on Huey and his relationship with Starlight. And it focuses on Homelander's obsession with his son and wanting, teaching his son, like, we're gods. We can do whatever we want. And his son's mom being like, oh my gosh, I got to get him away from this guy. He's going to brainwash him. How did he find me? And the people that hid her away, this is going into the episode too, but the people that hid her away, she asks, she's like, what do I do? There's nothing we can do. He can do whatever he wants. Hopefully he just gets bored and moves along. That's how powerful this guy is.
Right.
There's nothing anybody can do to save this woman.
Right. He's Superman without the weakness of kryptonite. There is no stopping Homelander. That's what I'm saying.
And without the weakness of people. Really. He's a sociopath.
He's a sociopath. He's absolutely insane. Even the other 7 or the other 6, but the members of the 7, I should say, all fear him. There's this cool scene where A-Train screws up in season 1, and you can see how he's walking around him really, really timid. Like, I'm glad you came to me. He's like, yeah, absolutely. The Deep 2 also fears, and they all feel him. He's insane. He's unhinged.
Anybody that works with him is afraid of him. Anybody that's against him is afraid of him. I mean, it's just nonstop, except for maybe like the only person you don't really see too much emotion. Oh man, what is his name? The covert op guy.
Oh, Black Noir.
Yeah, exactly.
Black Noir.
We don't really see any emotions from him, but I'm sure somewhere under there he knows I'm just not going to mess with that. I'm just going to do my job and go about it, whatever.
Exactly.
But I mean, other than that, you have the typical drama of, well, I wouldn't say typical drama. You actually see Starlight now. She's kind of a team player, right? So the first episode, you see her going kind of backtracking. You see her being on stage with Homelander and pushing on this agenda that, hey, superheroes are good. They're born, they're not made, sort of a thing, capes for Christ. The whole thing that was really pushed in season 1 that she was trying so hard to get away from on the surface. In season 2, she's very much for, although underneath she's still meeting with Huey, who Huey's not even supposed to be meeting with her because Frenchie and Mother's Milk, they're all underground. They're hiding because they're number one enemy right now when Billy Butcher's nowhere to be seen. So as far as they're concerned, he's left them for dead. Right.
And the thing is, what happens is, and we find out that, towards the end of episode 1, because we're not going to give you a scene by scene breakdown, but basically the main gist of it, we pick up with the other boys outside of Billy Butcher, and they're all hiding underground except for Huey, which he shouldn't be. He's meeting with Starlight. They're still trying to take down Vought from the inside. They've got a new superhero that joins the 7, because when you're talking about Starlight being on stage, and that was actually at the funeral for Translucent, right? The superhero that died. They say he died in some terrorist attack. Well, yeah, it was the boys that killed him, right? They blew him up from the inside out, man. I love it. Huey actually did. It was Frenchie's idea. But anyway, to make a long story short, she knows what they are, but she's trying to get proof. She's trying to get evidence. So, but on the surface, she also fears Homelander. So she's trying to tread lightly, right? Because they found out about Huey in season 1. So right now, what happens is, as you go through the episode, you realize that Huey's starting to become like almost a pseudo leader, even though he's the newest member of the boys and he's the least intimidating. Everybody's listening to him because he has good ideas, and he's trying to lead this squad, even though everybody's like, look, we just got to blow time. Like, no, we got to continue. We got to stay. We have to fight. They finally agreed to do so. And then towards the end, that's when Billy Butcher comes back. And you're like, where's Billy Butcher been all this time? You know what I mean? You find out that Homelander basically made a deal with the wife. I'll let him live if you let me see my son, let me be around my son or whatnot. And he just, he just dropped him off or whatever. That's how, like you say, the guy's a psychopath. Billy Butcher can do nothing to him, so he doesn't care. All right, and they blame everything that happened at the end of season 1. I can't remember the executive's name. Madeline, I think it was like Madeline Price or something like that. But they blamed her death on the boys. They blamed everything on the boys, labeled them a terrorist organization. And Homelander knows exactly where Billy Butcher is, but he doesn't even bother chasing them down. Like, bro, you're insignificant to me. I don't really care. If I let you live, I get to be around my son. Billy Butcher's wife's gonna let him be around his son, and that's his whole obsession now. Like you said, Homelander has so many issues. This guy's a sociopath. This guy's a psychopath. He's insecure. For a superhero that's a godlike and has no weaknesses, he is so insecure. He has some psychosexual issues. I mean, this guy has the plethora. He is every psychologist or therapist's wildest dream. All right, his therapy bills would be through the roof, bro. I'm telling you. So I mean, that kind of sums up episode 1. You know, you've got Starlight working covertly with Huey to still take down Vought. Did I miss anything important? Oh, the newest superhero that comes in, who's going to be replacing. I like this chick. What's her name? Thunderstorm or something like that?
Oh man, I can't remember, but she is. No, I like her a lot. She's pretty. She seems like she can bring a lot of balance to the team, but
she's the one person that's not scared of Homelander.
I know.
Even though Homelander could probably, rip her in two too.
Oh, kill it! But I don't think she understands Homelander yet, right? She's still new to the team. She's a cocky new kid. When you first go to school, you're like, who's the bully? And you're like, they're not that tough of a person. And then you get knocked down. And you're like, ooh, okay, maybe I'll listen. Not saying people should listen to bullies, but that's what Homelander is. He's a big bully, and he's godlike. So I don't think she understands how far. She's probably still under the impression of what he projects as his persona.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. He's goody two shoes, holier than thou, Captain America, that image that everybody has of Homelander. You're right. She doesn't know. She would have no way of knowing that he's an absolute psychopath. And in, season 1, he had let a whole airplane of people die. I mean, Homelander's got more bodies on him than anybody in season 1.
He'll kill anybody. He'll kill anyone that's in his way. Anyone. Doesn't matter if they're on the 7 or not. He'll kill him. He'd probably kill his own son if he felt like he should.
Oh man, yeah, he's absolutely nuts. He's absolutely nuts. Moving into episode 2, now you see that Vought is trying to still get them militarized. That's the whole goal, right? They want to get the 7 into the military. That way, now you got military spending coming in, and they're really trying to push this. So they created this quote unquote terrorist, the super terrorist. Homelander keeps calling them super villain, but they're like, trying to put the word terrorist in there to kind of play on those fears of the American public. And really the biggest part of this episode, you see Black Noir get down. Black Noir is actually sent by himself, single-handedly takes out that whole terrorist cell, including the super powered terrorist, easily killed him. And there's a new terrorist that's smuggled in, right, that the boys are trying to hunt down in order to exchange it for their freedom. Because right now, they're just thinking about getting their freedoms, going back to see their family. They're, like you said, public enemy right now, number 1. So they make a deal with the deputy director of the CIA. If they can track down this terrorist that they showed this clip of, then using the power, dumping an entire boat on somebody. They just lifted it out of the water, probably, I don't know, would you call that kinetic powers? You know what I mean? Kind of like mental powers. You just, dump it on them. But, that was they're hunting them down. You see a whole bunch of interaction amongst the team. And now that Billy Butcher's there, I feel like a rivalry is brewing between Billy Butcher and Huey. It's going to go down.
It's going to go down, but I feel like Huey is way out of his depths right now. I'm on Team Butcher. I'm sorry. As soon as he came back into the fold, I was like, all right, now we got the show going again. Huey's cool and all, but my guy, I don't think I think he's throwing a tantrum. I think he's more like Anakin right now, it's not fair. It's just
what's the difference between
being Padme? We have it right. Shut up. You don't understand what's going on.
And even though he's got good reason, but what's the difference between Billy Butcher and Homelander? They're both ruthless. They're willing to do anything it takes to achieve their goals. The only difference is one is a god and he's super powered, and Billy Butcher's not. But these guys are both absolutely nuts, bro.
I mean,
Absolutely.
they're both absolutely nuts, but I would say Butcher has more of a conscience than Homelander.
Yeah, we find out a little later on in the third episode, he has a little bit of a conscience, but at times he sacrifices people, and we find out that the terrorist in this episode is actually the younger brother of the Asian, and you know what? I want to make sure I get her name right, so give me 1 second. Is it wow, you know what? Rally, Stormfront, new one. Wow. They cannot just absolutely call her the female because she doesn't speak. So since she doesn't speak,
I think that is her name. It's just the female.
because I'm like, wait a minute, what? The female? Yeah, they call her the female. That's exactly who it is.
What would you expect from a show called The Boys, though?
You know what I mean, dude? Yeah. Oh man, her real name is Karen Fukurama, who's a Japanese actress. But I could have sworn they call her like Akito or something like that. But in the IMDb, literally they call her the female. Like, are you serious? We find out it's her younger brother who's that terrorist because he's also super powered. And Billy Butcher has no reservations about trying to take down her younger brother. Doesn't matter, dead or alive. This is what's going to get him his goal. And I'm like, she's a part of the boys now. And even the other members of the boys say, like, Butcher, you went too far, man. That's her brother. So, like, I just feel like Butcher's losing a little bit of his humanity because he's so, what's the word? Obsessed with Homelander and trying to take out Homelander, even though he knows he can't. There's nothing you can do to Homelander. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, it's fair. It's fair. I mean, I suppose they are two sides of the same coin, but I don't know. I still feel like Homelander's way too far gone, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with that. So anyway, like you said, in this episode, we also start diving a little bit deeper into the deep, and we find out that the reason that he's such so misogynistic and he's very disrespectful to women is because he's insecure over his own body, namely the gills on his chest, right? Or actually, it's more on his stomach or abdomen. And before women can reject them because of the gills, he rejects them and demeans them as a way to make himself feel better about himself. And you realize this guy has all kinds of insecurities, but he really wants to be a part of the Seven. That's, all he really cares about, getting back in the group. And he starts trying to work his way back in there. So basically, Homelander, and I think we might even be getting crossed into episode 3 here, but Homelander and the rest of the Seven are now tasked with chasing down or hunting down this supervillain. Oh no, I forgot about the what caused this big stir up where which is the Billy Butcher now has the terrorist, which is the female member of the boys' younger brother. So he manages to get loose on the boat, and he takes out an entire helicopter. Everybody dies on that helicopter. Everything is blamed, of course, on Billy Butcher, like he has the powers. It wasn't. It was obviously the younger brother terrorist. So they now set the Seven on them, and they go hunting them. So the Deep gets a wind of this, so the Deep starts chasing them, and that's probably the first time you've actually even seen him use his powers or whatnot. But dude, it was super cool. People say, oh, he can talk to fishes, he can talk to sharks. He's sending sharks to attack the boat they're on or whatnot, and you see him riding a whale. Like, dude, this was insane. It was the first time you got to see his powers like massively displayed. You know what I mean? And I thought that was super cool.
No, I mean, there's just so much to this show, and we probably should put like a spoiler thing at the beginning.
We will put a spoiler thing at the beginning. Everybody knows when I'm here is spoilers. Nick keeps me from the spoilers because I have to listen. He spent so much time editing because of all the spoilers. I'm like, oops, I was supposed to say that. So whenever it's a game review, he knows Babe Solo is gonna be spoilers, cousin. Sorry.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Oh, man, this is so
Oh.
much to the show. I'm excited for next week for sure.
Super excited. You know, the first 3 episodes, the big thing is that the new girl on the block is kind of trying to take the shine off of Homelander, right? She goes after the terrorists, and she's unhinged too. Like, bro, she didn't have to kill the terrorists because she incapacitated them, but she did it anyway. She's ruthless. She was killing people in that apartment complex, just chasing them down like nothing. They're collateral damage. This chick is crazy. I'm thinking her and Homelander are probably gonna. He likes the fact, even though there's a little rivalry going on between them, but he likes the fact that there's finally somebody that's not super afraid of him and willing to stand up to him and willing to kind of like, you know what I mean, take the reins. So again, remember the in the first season, he's got those psychosexual issues, those mommy issues, where he likes a woman in power, a woman of authority, and that's what this woman now represents. You know what I mean? Represents that former executive from Vought that used to control him. So I think that she's going to play a huge role. And at first I thought she was super cool. She was going to try to dismantle Vought from the inside in, from the outside in, like, or inside out, I should say, by the way she was talking. Bro, she's nuts, bro. She went in there and she's in the apartment, right, trying to chase down this terrorist, and there's people yelling. She's like, shut up. And like, lightning bolts them and kills them. Like, what did you just do? Oh, you're supposed to be a superhero. Again, collateral damage, be gone. And they actually, it's funny, that was the one thing they mentioned, right? They were like, as they get closer and closer to getting this military contract, they're trying to negotiate terms and stuff. So they asked, okay, so what's the actual collateral damage? What's the officially 0? No civilians. Unofficially, about 35%. 35%. Did you catch that line, bro? 35%.
Man,
vision casualties are.
Those are like video game numbers, right? Like when I was a kid playing Command and Conquer, it's like, you know, as long as you don't lose half of the village or half of the civilians and structures, you won't lose. Like, oh, okay, great. You know, I can deal with half of this population going away. You know, I mean, it's just, oh.
Are you kidding me? The collateral damage is 35%. I mean, and you see it. She's trying to get one terrorist, one dude, and takes out almost an entire building. At least half of the occupants of that building are all dead, bro. Like, it's not worth having heroes at that price. You know what I'm saying?
It's not, no.
Holy cow, man.
You know, but, I mean, it's really, it's not, no.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest.
And that's why I'm all for Billy Butcher, you know, like even though the guy does push the envelope, they got to get rid of Homelander. They got to get rid of him.
And you talked about it. This episode, Billy Butcher had had a little redeeming quality because Homelander in the sewers in the tunnel tracks down along with the rest of the summer 7 Huey. So he's gonna make her kill Starlight, kill Huey, or he's like, I'll make it easier for you. You kill him, or I'll kill you both right now. No problem. You know what I mean? You know he's not even playing. There's nothing she could do. So it looks like she's about to do it. And then Billy Butcher overhears it and literally sticks his neck out and sacrifices himself. Luckily, Homelander is incapacitated momentarily by the, like he said, super villain, even though they kept calling him super terrorist and it was annoying him, the super villain. And, but Billy Butcher saved, even though he's been having all this friction. You're right. That's what separates him from Homelander. Homelander wouldn't save anybody unless, it was for a camera or a photo op. Billy Butcher there stuck his own neck out to save Huey, although him and Huey have been having a lot of conflict. So you're right there. You're right there.
I mean, it's just like brothers, right? Brothers argue all the time, but when it comes down to it, you're going to be there. And like, yeah, Butcher's, he's not in a good place right now, but at least he's able like to be like, oh, okay, this is wrong. This is right. May not know that all the time, but I'm like, Homelander. Well, I just think Homelander doesn't care. Like, his honest, I mean, it's all in episode 2. He's like, we can do whatever we want. Dude, nobody can tell when he's talking to his son. We're gods. These people don't matter.
the
There's
relationship with his son.
nobody like us.
I almost forgot the craziest part. So he's trying to teach his son how to be a superhero, and his son's like, I can't fly, I can't jump, I can't do this. He's just very, very like he's a kid. You know, he's super, super afraid. So he takes him up to the roof, and he's like, you can fly. He's like, no, I can't. He pushes his son off the roof. Just like, oh my God, that's the craziest thing. The mother, as rightfully so, comes out freaking out. And she's like, you pushed him on the ground. He can't breathe. He's like, he's my son. He'll be all right. No remorse, nothing, none whatsoever. He comes down, and the son is like, what happened? I got, because he obviously got knocked out cold when he pushed him off the roof of the house. And then finally, the son's powers manifest when Homelander and his mom start arguing. And he's like, leave my mom alone. And he pushes him, and the laser eyes come on. And that actually was the first time Homelander looked at him like he was proud. Like, I'm not mad at you. This is why would I want to see. You're my son. You have superpower. We're gods. Like, Homelander's, his idea of love is crazy. His idea of he is mad. But again, this is a guy who you find out in season 1, he was basically he's a test tube baby, right? He was made in a lab. He didn't really have parents. His whole world was created. So he's never had those real world relationships to teach him how to be human whatsoever. He's the least human character in this entire show. He's got no redeeming qualities. And I love that about him. He's absolutely nuts, man.
I mean, he's unapologetic, 100%. And that also makes him also a well-written villain, because at the same time, as horrible of a person he is, I mean, what would that do to somebody to be raised in an environment that he was raised in without any parents, anyone showing that connection, that emotional connection to him that, helps us as people as we grow up be like, there's people out there that, that care about me, or like just that knowledge and that connection of love with someone. It changes people profoundly. And if you don't have that, you're going to end up like him, especially if you have his powers. I mean, he's just it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, for lack of a better phrase. I mean,
You're absolutely right, man. And I mean, we had a quick conversation before we came on air, and I was mentioning to you, this is my favorite episode. It's so not my favorite episode, my favorite comic book or superhero series. I'm sorry, it kills everything Marvel has put out, including, I know you love Punisher, I do as well. I love Daredevil, but it even crushed the Netflix Marvel series. I mean, the only thing that's closest to this is the Umbrella Academy, and I still got to say it's better written. You know what I mean? These characters, they put more thought into it, so in depth. The story is so compelling, and maybe it's because, and Nick and I joke around. I root for the Sith. You know what I'm saying? I was, Cobra when I was a little kid, and my older brother was G.I. Joe. I've always rooted for the bad guys. Well, finally, the bad guys. This is a series where the superheroes are the bad guys. The ones with all the powers are the bad guys, and it's like, oh, it's so glorious. But I like seeing that. Unlike Superman, where if you look at DC, most times Superman is so super overpowered. Like, any fight when he comes in is instantly over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has, other than Kryptonite, he has no weaknesses, and very few people can take him on. So, like, for his arch nemesis to be Lex Luthor, really, Lex Luthor doesn't even have any power. He's super smart, but that's it. Here it's flipped. It's flipped. Okay, Superman's the bad guy, right? And the good guy is Billy the Butcher, and Billy Butcher has no powers other than that he's fearless and insane, and the boys have no powers, and they're trying to take down these superheroes that are actually criminals and insane. I love this series, Chris. I love this series. I was so excited. You can tell. I text you right away, like, bro, Nick's not gonna get to it. We gotta get to it quick. Yo, can you come on air? He's like, bro, I'm watching it tonight. Done. Binged all 3 episodes one night. I was up to like 2:00 in the morning.
I mean, I can't blame you. It's a great show. It's not only is it a great show, it's a great time right now for superhero stories to really come to light. We've had Marvel, right? Marvel, as far as I'm concerned, anything they do now, it's just like extra Marvel movies. Ever since from the time Iron Man came out to when, Endgame happened, like that was their time to shine. That was it. I don't think they're going to ever be able to replicate that again.
Can't do it.
DC has been trying to play catch up with them forever, but again, they're just going to be, whatever. But like these shows, it's such a good time right now for these kind of superhero or unheard of superpower shows coming along because they're different. We've seen the, knight in shining armor superhero, the classic, good guy forever superhero.
Right.
Now's the time for alternate, what are they called? The anti-heroes to become
anti-heroes, right?
Straight up villains and the impossible odds to happen. I mean, it's just we don't know what's going on. Marvel and DC Comics, they've had comics for decades where you can be like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is the story they're going with. This is totally something like they were comics as well, but they're not as well known.
They're not as well known. Right. And I tell you, even though I'm a comic book fan, when they announced The Boys, I was like, what? I had no idea. My brother had no idea. He's a bigger comic book fan than I am. He did know when Umbrella Academy came out, and he was like, oh, man, this is going to be cool. But I wasn't aware of Umbrella Academy when it first came out either. I was like, what? You know what I mean? And we're major comic book, but there's so many properties out there and so many different labels. It'd be impossible to learn it all. So I'm excited. You're right. You're watching it through a new lens. There are new stories being told, and maybe that's why I'm so excited about it. You know what I mean? You can only tell the Daredevil story so many times. You can only tell the Spider-Man story so many times. You can only tell the Superman story so many times. The Batman story. Poor Martha. She's been killed over and over and over and over and over again in that alley. We all know the story, okay? Give us something new, give us something fresh, and that's what's so awesome. Anyway, this review ran late, guys, but man, me and Chris are super fans. Chris, thank you so much for coming on here with me, man. Love working with you, bro. What do you think? Just not spoilers, because obviously we don't have any access to the rest, but what do you think is going to happen the rest of this season? I predict right now that either Homelander falls, because like you said, he's got to fall. He's so overpowered, super powered, that there's no way the boys can take him out. So it's got to be like the rift between him and Thunderstorm and maybe the rest of the 7 gang up on Homelander because they all fear him. But like you said, there's got to be an exit for him, because until there's an exit for him, there's nothing they can do. That's my prediction. I think somehow they're going to find a way to make Homelander fall this season. How about you?
I mean, I first want to say, it's great to be working with you again. I know it's been a while since we've been in a video together, so thank you for the shout out to be like, hey man, we got to do this now. But I don't know. They're talking a lot about Compound V. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that one of the boys, probably Billy Butcher, or maybe even Huey, Huey. That's my prediction. Huey's going to be jacked up on the juice and is going to be that's how Homelander is going to fall right there.
Ooh.
I don't think he's going to die necessarily, but you're right. If he continues on as he is, it's going to be the same story over and over and over again. We have to walk on eggshells because the Homelander is going to come and get us. So he's got to go somehow. I don't want him to die necessarily, but I also don't know how else they can hold them.
Well, the one thing I was thinking about is
maybe like
now
a reverse Compound V that takes away his powers. I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. We saw how A-Train got hooked on Compound V, right? But eventually the effects wear off. So even though they had it from birth, and since when they were children, if it was something that was engineered, it can be reverse engineered. If it was something that created, so maybe there's a way to depower the superheroes. Maybe that's what happens. I don't know. Let us know in the comments what you got. What are your predictions for season 2 of The Boys? Let us know what you thought of this review, what you thought of the first 3 episodes. If you haven't jumped on this show, what are you doing? This is glorious, people. Glorious. Not for children, by the way. not for children. Okay, it's a comic book show, but I had to explicitly tell my younger kids, no, you guys can't watch this, not even a little bit.
This is for daddy only.
This is for daddy. Anyway, Chris, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Thanks so much for reviewing this with me, guys. You already know the motto. Next time, same bat time, same back channel. Until next time, we know all things.
Y'all take care.